Thank you, gentlemen. Let's move on to our next story. As insecurity spreads across various regions in Nigeria, the army is ramping up efforts to address emerging threats with military precision. In response to the growing menace of the Lakurawa terrorist group, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has ordered the deployment of a special force to Sokoto and Kebbi states to restore order and dismantle their operations. While addressing the troops, the General Officer Commanding GOC of 8th Division of the Nigerian Army and Commander of Sector 2 of Operation Fasanyama, Major General Ibikunle Ajose, urged the troops to adhere strictly to the rules of engagement while prioritizing protection of lives and property of law-abiding citizens. Mayor, let me start from you.
Yeah, it's a nice thing for the Chief of Defense Staff to say that they've deployed special forces to take on this terrorist group. Better late than never. They've made a major mistake by dropping the ball. They should not have allowed those guys to get entrenched in these two states before they realize that they have to take them on. Because without them knowing it, we have another problem. So what is going on in Borno State? We have it on our hands. You see, there's a difference when you look at bandits and terrorists. They are different because these people are like offshoots of ISIS. So they have funding, they have foreign fighters that can train people. So what I think we should do is that apart from deploying these special forces to Sokoto and Kebbi State to take them on, we must also, I'm trying to make a suggestion now to the Chief of Defense Staff, it's important for the Chief of the Defense Staff to get in touch with the neighboring states of Niger, of what's this other state? Bordering them. No. Like the country, no, not the states, but the country now.
Okay.
Mali, Chad, Niger. It's important for us to have a meeting with them to say, look, this terrorist group is a problem to all of us. If they domicile, they may domicile in Kebbi and Sokoto, but eventually they will move into your states, because that's what happened with Boko Haram, and they moved from Borno into Cameroon, into Chad. So it is important that in taking them on, we have to do that with our neighbors, so that they will cut off any opportunity for them to move. Because what these terrorists used to do is that when it is too hot for them in Sokoto and Kebbi, they will move to neighboring states, neighboring countries, like especially Niger and Mali. They will move there, stay there for some time, and now be making incursions to come and be. So the problem will become prolonged, because it's always difficult to fight. There is not a conventional war where you stay here and you can say that you can mop up. But it's important for us to make sure that we don't give them any opportunity to move from these two states into neighboring countries. And then when they think that the time is right, then they move back to that place. That is what Boko Haram and ISWAP has been doing in Borno. We must not allow them to do that now. So apart from confronting them, it's important for us to be able to have a synergy where we choke them inside that place and take care of them once and for all.
All right. Adege, what are your expectations?
Yeah, I think first of all, I need to commend the service chiefs. This time I'm talking objectively and subjectively. I think since last year, there has been, you may not know, but I think there is remarkable improvement.
Yeah.
So I say thanks to the service chiefs, thanks to the National Security Advisor, who has, in fact, having sleepless nights to deal with security issues. In fact, it's one of the best we have ever had since 1999. I'm talking of Nuhu Ribadu. Because I say subjectively, because in my community, almost every two weeks, we have cases of kidnapping. It's very close to Kogi State. Now,
where's the community place?
Is on the fringe between Kogi and Ekiti State.
Okay.
Egbe, Udoere, Ekiti, Takpaji, Yemero, Rele. In fact, they killed one civil service, civil defense. Civil defense corps was killed. So many people have been kidnapped. And when they kidnap people from Ondo State, they bring them to a forest, very close to, in that forest, a sense between Ondo, between Ekiti Kwara and Kogi State. Huge forest, very close to a place called Ikoro. It was in that community that two traditional laws were killed.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That same community that the traditional law of Ikoro was also murdered. So that place was an axis of evil. But let me tell you, since last year, in fact, is unimaginable. Even when I go home, I go with vigilante, armed vigilante group who have their, license.
Okay, so you're a big man.
They are one of them.
So you see, it has improved tremendously, and we don't have any big man helping us. We just realize that, everything now is, compared with what we used to have before. Lagos Ibadan Expressway, you know what it used to mean 2 years ago? Kidnapping Ogun State, Ekiti State, Ondo. So I commend the efforts of the state governors in these states, Ekiti, Ondo, and then the National Security Advisor, most importantly. They are doing a lot of work. And I think the late Chief of Army Staff left an enduring legacy. In fact, he died to those terrorists that they will never forget. So the new Chief of Army Staff is, continuing with that spirit. So by deploying people to that area, I think it's a very special force. Maybe they just put them together, train them. And even before this deployment, they have raided their camps, even up to last week, arrested so many of them. For the first time, I saw the terrorists on video pleading with the Nigerian government that we don't want to fight. Well, why not rest? So we are making progress in terms of the battle against terrorism. Now, this organization, like Lakurawa or whatever, it's not new. 2018, it started operating in that area. And community leaders in Gudu and Tangasa invited them when they were having incidental attacks. The danger with this group is that the group is raising the question of political power. They are controlling about 10 local governments where they have presence. Then if you want to join them, you pay 1 million up to 1 million naira. And they have to join the group. Then, there are people who are disenchantted with a lot of things, poverty, hunger. Then they join the group as a means of shield and buckler for them to carry out all sorts of actions, to be trained, to be armed. Then if you are an informant, they pay you 10,000 naira. So where do they get the fund? So it means there is international networking from ISIS, from, I'm not sure what is happening in Libya, what will be the consequences, but they get funding from all over the world. So I think sending people there to attack them, to face them, face to face. The Northwest is the most terrorized and traumatized region in Nigeria today. So I'm happy with what the government has done. I also align myself with what Mayor has said. We need to work with other neighboring states. We must show interest in what happens in the Maghreb, in the southern Sudan. This problem was aggravated after the collapse of Gaddafi in Libya.
Yeah.
I was in Libya, with some groups. We met Gaddafi before his collapse. And I saw Nigerian soldiers who are top-ranking Nigerians who are in the Libyan army. One of them from a Yoruba person was even such a guard to Gaddafi. We met Gaddafi at a military camp. It was a cultural event we went for. They invited us and we had a meeting with them. And when I came back, it was what motivated Amotekun for the first time. The governor of Ekiti State at that time, Dr. Fahimi, decided to set up what they call Peace Corps because he felt that the collapse of Libya and all that will spill over, and he was right. He got 800 Peace Corps to be set up. It was that actually that motivated others to under dawn that they started establishing Amotekun and all that. So we need to show interest in what is happening in our neighbors, with Burkina Faso, Sudan. Do you know there are millions of Hausa people living in Sudan who have been there for over 300 years? Now with the crisis in Sudan, these people will move down south. And many of them will have to survive because they have to survive by fighting either joining one terrorist group or the other. Get armed, get trained. So we need to, our Nigerian intelligence agency must do a lot in West Africa, not just going to Europe, to find out what is happening and how those things will affect the stability of Nigeria. So
what other approach do you think the military must take at this moment, or the federal government must take, so that this does not become another Boko Haram?
Intelligence gathering. Mere having the strike force and all that going there is good. But I believe they're also working on that. You need intelligence gathering so that you can nip, these things in the bud. Look at what Finland did. Those who are funding all of them, they go their account and they put a hammer. So the funders, that is how you can deal with this problem. Whether in Syria, whether in Somalia. Some of them are training in Somalia, in Nigeria. So it's not just a Nigerian affair alone. You need to track their funders and work with governments of those countries so that if you can cut the source of their supply of weapons, supply of funds, and I think that will be a very effective way of dealing with them.
Yeah, let me come to you because the Brigadier General reportedly says the troops have all the necessary assets. He's talked about intelligence sharing. You've talked about synergy. So how important that the governors of these two states give the military the undiluted support they need at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, that's taken. Even the governors of those states know that they have to give the military all the support they need because what they have with them, the Lakurawa now is like, you know, ISIS, when you're an offshoot of ISIS, it's a different thing. It's just like ISWAP. It's a different ballgame because they are well trained, they have resources, and because of the problem in Libya, there is access to ammunition. Libya has limitless amount of ammunition. If you are ready to pay, you will get ammunition. So it's important for the governors of these two states to give, and I think they are doing that already because I saw the governor of Kebbi on here at one time. They have to give the security agencies all the support they need. They have to involve the community leaders in these places because the community, because you see, every crime is local. There's no way they won't know those who are foreigners within their community. So when they see something, you say something, you get in touch with security agencies and make the report when it is possible to pick up those people. So they must involve traditional rulers and leaders of thought in these communities for effective intelligence gathering. Then they must give the security forces all the tools needed to be able to fight this war. It's important for us not to allow this one to become another Boko Haram ISWAP. Now, yes, they are stronger, but they are still vulnerable. They are not, the network is not as entrenched as that of Boko Haram and ISWAP. So it's important for us to deploy everything now to be able to degrade them to a point that they will not constitute. But
when you hear the commanding officer talking about or lamenting about the challenges posed by local sympathizers and informants who collaborate with these terrorists.
Yes, that's why they're saying that is because that's what I just said. And if you don't involve the traditional rulers and the leaders of thought in that environment, you will allow people who are not, for example, if you have youth who are not employed, who things are difficult, who find it difficult to survive, when a terrorist group offer you 10,000 naira, you will take it and you will work for them. And what they need those people for is their own intelligence gathering. What is the position of the troops? Where are they situated? What are the plans that they are doing? What is their supply source and all that? They will have young boys, young people who are unemployed within that community doing that for them. So that is why they have to involve everybody that is important in that community for them to know that the interest of the community is at stake. And they will not support these people.
But there are those who will be forever sympathetic to the cause of the terrorists.
No, there are some people that will be sympathetic because of economic situation. Like I said, because they induce them with money. There are some people that will be sympathetic because of religion. So you cannot escape from that. But you can, if you involve as many people as possible in each community, you can now feature out those people working for them. But like I said, we have an opportunity to degrade this group. They are not as entrenched as the other groups that we're having problems with.
All right, Adeoye, I want you to specifically speak to the urgent need to strengthen counter-IED efforts at the national and regional levels, because I heard one of the chiefs pointing out the terrorists' increasing reliance on improved explosive devices. He says, and I quote, "The use of IEDs is a sign of defeat, but it has not deterred us." Do we even have enough equipment or ammunition, so to speak?
I think we have enough equipment. I think we have enough manpower, superior in many ways compared with these terrorist groups. I think we are better strategically. We are dealing with them from a position of strength. However, terrorist groups, they are not conventional. They look for the weakest points. A boy of 14 years old who is selling granite or who is selling kunu could be an informant. So when he visits the camp to sell bread and all that, he's also collecting information. So our equipment, superstructure is not enough. Our ability to get local international intelligence is key. For instance, this group, their members, they speak Fufude and Arabic. So that can give you the impression that they are not actually homegrown. They are not, but they have collaborators in Nigeria. And they can easily recruit, feasting on the level of poverty in Nigeria, the level of depression, the level of, the level of poverty. They can easily feed 10,000 to people. People will join. So we need to mount our antenna in terms of intelligence gathering. And I think we need to resolve our diplomatic issues with our neighboring states, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. This idea of saying we have imposed sanctions and all that. No, we need to work together. Most of these countries have huge population of outside people there. Some of their presidents are even maybe of outside extraction, of Fulani extraction. So we are one people. So we need to, at the diplomatic level, we need to work with these states. Also at the regional level, we need to work together with ECOWAS. It's not what we can do alone. Nigeria is not just a big country; it's the economic safe haven for most people from West Africa. And among these who coming for who are economic refugees, also terrorists who come all over and just come as people looking for a job and spy. So we need to drive our intelligence networking. The Nigerian Intelligence Agency needs to be on top of the situation. I think our game, the most important aspect is intelligence gathering. Once we're able to track, why is it that US they will track somebody to thousands of
why have
kilometers?
We been struggling with that?
You mean?
Why have we been struggling with that?
I think for now, in the past, at least since last year, I believe we have improved tremendously. Even by mere reading of newspapers, see some of these terrorists that have been traced to their hideouts and killed. So I think that, and the thing was, one was arrested recently in Ekiti State, who is also linked up with the terrorist group. They took him to a village called Ilorin, Ekiti, and he was arrested. That is the power of intelligence gathering. Track their phone, monitor their movement, and then go after their main sponsors. So I think we are making tremendous progress, at least since last year, and I hope we can keep up that momentum. And again, thanks to the National Security Advisor, No Ribadu, and the other service chiefs.
Mayor, this is an unconventional war. Do we have enough personnel?
Yes, we do. This one, you don't even need, because it's not a conventional war, you don't need so many people. In fact, that's why they are deploying special forces there, because the special forces are the people that are going to seek and destroy. They've been trained to seek and destroy, which means that they get information that these people in this village, they go to that village, and then instead of camping there, and that, because it's not a conventional war where you will see the person you are fighting with. They are not like ISWAP in Borno, because Boko Haram over time has been able to establish themselves in Sambisa forest. So from there, they were able to move and fight and come, attack, and go back. These people are not that entrenched yet. So it is important that we don't allow them to do that. We have to fight them different ways. Apart from sending the special forces, we have to cut their funding. In fact, that is even more important than the forces we are sending there, because if you cut their funding, they won't have the necessary ammunition, because they need funding to be able to buy those ammunition. Most times they buy the ammunition from Mali and Libya. And most people, because when they move from Mali, because of the Tuaregs when they move from Libya, because of the Tuaregs in Mali, they get involved in selling of arms and all that. So if you can cut the funding, they may not have enough resources to be able to get the ammunition that they need. And if you are on ground there to take them on, they will not be able to get people where they will not collect ransom to be able to generate money. So you are going to attack them there. You are going to involve the local people so that you can get more intelligence gathering to be able to know what they are doing and how to seek them out. So it's a lot of things that you have to do, but it's important for us to do those things now. Not just take one aspect of it. We should do everything so that we can degrade them. We cannot eradicate them. Because in terrorism, you can't eradicate people. Even America, as far as that, they went to Afghanistan, they could not eradicate terrorism there. So because it's not a conventional war, people will just run away from the place and go and hide for some time maybe in Mali or Chad or Niger. After some time, when they know that you are no longer as attentive as you used to be, they'll come back again. So it's important for us to degrade them to a point that they will not constitute the kind of threat that they construed now.
All right. You know, the military is saying surrender now or be neutralized. But for the families
that's a joke.
Okay. Well, for this,
if somebody that has made up their mind to be terrorists, telling them to surrender now or you will die, yeah, it's tight. It's tight to know that you will kill them anyway. So yes, it's good to say that, because when you say that, some people, maybe because they've lost, they are not as confident as they were when they saw that.
Oh, we've seen videos of some of them who have said, some of
them may say that when you say surrender now, they are just trying to send a message to some members who may decide that it seems that these people have superior power. I don't want to die. Let me surrender. Yes, we can get that, but the core people, they will not surrender because they're terrorists. That's what they want to do. Yep. It's an ideology. Okay. So it makes it difficult for you to, you know, when somebody put bombs and said he's a suicide bomber, you will know that that kind of person, killing him does not matter because he's ready to die.
All right.
So it makes it more difficult.
But for these fighters and their families who have actually dropped their arms, how do state governments ensure they do not take these arms again?
Yes, asking them to surrender, I think the military knows its position, that it's not to get them to actually lay down those, but it's a viable propaganda weapon. Some of them who just joined maybe last week, they listening to that, they might be compared, or some of them who are facing it also from their commanders. They may say, if there's an option to leave this terrorist, why can't I? Or somebody that were coerced into that organization. Yes. They have an opportunity to join, to leave. But why surrendering? I know the government will also be very careful because they will also be sending people who are double agents to infiltrate the Nigerian army. So I think in the long run, just like he said, we may not be able to exterminate terrorism. But what we should know is that we can decimate them. But we should also realize that it's not just fighting them using the military roadmap alone. Economic power. Most progressive countries in the whole world are more peaceful. Terrorism is viable where there's poverty, there's corruption, there's leadership failure. So we need to address the political and economic aspect in order to be able to deal with terrorism in the long run.
All right.